Well, hi guys, welcome. And who dat? I'm Joe. Thanks for tuning in to Rosenfield 10, where I cover our beloved Bless You Boys in black and gold, the New Orleans Saints. Are you a who dat? Are you a who dat fan? If you're a who dat, subscribe to my channel. I love the Saints as much as you do. Think of me as a friend or a coworker. Anytime you see one of my videos, I'm talking about our beloved New Orleans Saints. Keep me in your subscription. Subscribe to this channel now. And then when I have a video, you can hear what I'm saying. You let me know what you think in the comments. I respond to my comments. And today I'm going to talk about our franchise quarterback, Tyler Shough. And I'm going to give you my prediction for this season. What are my expectations for this quarterback? And let's talk about it, shall we? So I've been looking into Kellen Moore. I've been looking into his stops as offensive coordinator over his career. I looked through his time with Dallas, his 1 year with the Chargers, his 1 year with the Eagles, and then last year with the Saints. I'm trying to figure out if there's anything I can gauge about Kellen Moore and what he likes to do. And it's kind of all over the place, but on average, his teams have passed around 600 times and rushed the ball between 400 and 500 times. Yeah, he's a former quarterback. We all expect him to want to throw the ball. He's got his quarterback of choice with Tyler Shough now. So perhaps we would lean towards throwing the ball quite a bit. Last year with the Saints, it was pretty even. A little over 500 passes and a little over 500 rushes, believe it or not. We weren't very successful early on throwing the ball, and we weren't successful much at all running the ball. So I'm not sure how this is going to affect Kellen Moore this year. You get your quarterback of choice now, but you've also gone in the free agency and grabbed Travis Achan, and you've retained Alvin Kamara. So there is a chance with an improved offensive line that Kellen Moore could see more production in the run game. I'm still leaning towards the fact that this guy is a former quarterback and has his quarterback of choice now. We go into the draft this past year and grab a bunch of receiving talent, 3 receivers, 1 tight end. We get another tight end in free agency to add to Juwan Johnson, and it seems like we're ready to just throw the ball up and down the field. However, the most success Kellen Moore's had, the pinnacle reaching the Super Bowl, the 1 year with the Eagles, he actually ran the ball more than he threw the ball that year with the Eagles, and the running game was sensational. You don't have a Saquon Barkley, but you do have a Travis Achan and an Alvin Kamara. Plus, you've got Kendre Miller if he stays healthy, and a Kellen Moore draft pick with Devin Neal. So, you know, not quite sure how it's going to go. So I think about those things. And then I think about our new quarterback, Tyler Shough, who was a rookie last year, got to start 9 games. I think he played in 10 total. And Tyler Shough looks to be a pretty good quarterback. Do we expect a sophomore slump from Tyler Shough? Well, it's possible, but with all of the added weapons, not to mention the lack of weapons last year, I kind of feel like Tyler Shough's going to be a better quarterback. Now he was a completion percentage last year of almost 68%, which is crazy. You know, he was 67 point something completion percentage. And I don't know. I'm trying to weigh all this out. If you really get the running game going, if you're a smart head coach, you're going to keep running the ball to set up the pass. If you can score early, which is something Kellen Moore had a hard time doing, even with the Eagles. His 1 year with the Eagles, his first quarter numbers were pretty bad. Just like this past year with the Saints, first quarter numbers were just not good at all. And I kind of look at Kellen Moore and I think to myself, is he setting stuff up for later in the game, or is he trying to feel the defense out to see what the defense is going to do, and then he kind of makes up his mind in the second quarter on and decides what he can do. That kind of a combo. It was really hard last year for the Saints because the defense allowed quite a few points as well. I mean, overall the defense was fine, but talking about yards and stuff like that, but we did allow too many points, and we allowed a lot of points early. And on offense, we didn't score any points early, so you kind of put yourself behind the eight ball. Even though Moore, either way, setting the defense up or seeing what the defense has to offer, his opposing defense, and then working something out after that. When you're behind the eight ball with the points, then you kind of are forced to throw the ball. Plus that lack of run. We just didn't have a lot of plays last year. You kind of hope we get about 1,100 plays. Then you can throw the ball 600 times. You can run the ball 500 times, something like that. Have a nice balance. And if that running game gets going, it's going to affect everything. So Tyler Shough, he was a rookie last year, albeit an older player for a rookie. He had a lot of experience in college, and he seemed pretty mature, and he didn't ever seem to get down during games. It didn't matter if there was a struggle during a game. It seemed like he was always pretty good and really good against the blitz. He was showing things as a pro that he didn't really show in college. So it seems like he developed as a player, even though he was a rookie in the league. He developed as a overall player throughout his college game. I mean, he seemed to escape pressure pretty good. He seemed to throw on the move pretty good. He attacked all over the field and was very accurate. 67% plus completion is great. He kept the turnovers to a minimum for a rookie, I think. So I'm factoring in all of that, and what's going to happen? A better offense around him now, a year under his belt with this coach and this system, a system that should be better, as far as game planning, something that's going to be fashioned for Shuck's strengths and having all the weapons he needs. A running game that should be better, an offensive line that should hold up better. It's kind of hard to determine. I think that Shuck's ability last year on third down is pretty impressive. And Shuck didn't have a lot of weapons last year, so he was able to elevate the team and accomplish a lot of really good things. So with all of these new weapons around him, is he going to be an elevator again? I mean, if Shuck develops the way I think he can, we're talking about a top 12 quarterback in the league. Now, if he has any kind of a setback, I think the increased talent on offense around him should kind of offset that a little bit. As long as you're not getting injured or turning the ball over too much, I expect to score more than 18 points a game, 19 points a game. It's kind of what the Saints averaged last year. I'm assuming that this team's going to average more than 20 points a game. Something upwards of 24 points. We're kind of spoiled as Saints fans. When Drew Brees was here, we were averaging 27 points a game. That was kind of a low end. So we're kind of spoiled to that. But with a second year quarterback, if we can get up to 24, 25 points a game and that defense can bring it down a little bit, That's pretty much what they were averaging against themselves last year, 24, 25 points. Some of the games that we lost were pretty competitive, but there were games against playoff teams that, we were outmatched. The Rams, the Seahawks, those guys. We looked okay against the Patriots. Even the Bears took it to us. So it's one of them things. Tyler Shough won a bunch of games last year. He won a bunch of games against teams that weren't very good. You got to factor in all of that. So I've already been on record as saying I think we're going to win at the bare minimum 7 games. I think 7 games is what I think this team should win, and then you're going to have 3 to 5 games that are going to be really competitive. If Shough can manage to be as good as he was last year or to improve, and then you factor in the better offense around him, you factor in Kellen Moore with a year under his belt as a head coach, the whole system having a full off season, all of this stuff, then I'm assuming the Saints can perform better in those close games. So more than seven, 7.5, I think is what Vegas has us at. 7.5. I'm gonna bet the over on that. I'm gonna hope that the Saints can be at least 9-8. We could be 10-7. I think a 10-7 record's going to win this division, and that's what I'm kind of looking at. 9 or 10 wins. That's everything working out great. I still think the defense needs another draft under its belt to get, Brandon Staley where he really wants to be. Brandon Staley's proven to be, after 1 year with the Saints, a really good coordinator. And yeah, if the defense can overachieve again this year, maybe other teams want to come and get Brandon Staley. But yeah, that's where I'm at. 9 or 10 wins. I'm thinking I'm thinking we're doing all right. We can finish 10-7. If we finish 9-8, it'll be kind of a disappointment for us Saints fans because we're expecting a lot. The Saints are a darling pick in the league right now as a sleeper team. There's a lot of people out there that still don't think Tyler Shough is much of anything. I think they're just kind of sitting and waiting. He goes 5-4 as a starter, which is great for a rookie, but then all the wins come against losing teams. So it's okay to be, hesitant as a national prognosticator. They don't know. I don't know if they realize how good Shough was in pressure moments, third down, stuff like that. Not to mention the team around him, no running game, all that stuff. So yeah, we're biased as fans, but I'm thinking there's not much of a downfall here with Shough. He's got to stay healthy. No regression when it comes to pressure. No regression when it comes to a play breaking down. Shuck's got the ability to run the ball. I don't think Kellen Moore is going to want to intentionally run Shough a lot, although it would work. You've got to factor in his injury history, so you don't want your franchise quarterback getting hurt. So perhaps you don't call that many runs every game for Tyler Shough, a specific quarterback keeper kind of thing. But you've also got to factor in a play breaking down and Tyler Shough making something happen with his legs. So, all that to be said, I'm going to present to you my final prediction for his final numbers for the year. I'm assuming he's going to play 16 or 17 games. And this is what I'm looking at. Passing the ball, I expect him to go 389 completions out of 590 attempts. That'll be a 66% completion percentage. That'll be a little less than what he was last year. I'm just trying to be sane about it. It'll be 10.8 yards of completion. That's what he averaged last year. That would put him at 4,201 yards passing. Uh, Derek Carr never got more than 3,800 passing for the Saints. Carr managed to stay pretty healthy. He got knocked out of a bunch of games, but he started most games when Carr was here. I think Tyler Shough has the ability to be a much better quarterback than Derek Carr. So at 10.8 yards of completion, 389 completions, that puts you at 4,201 yards. That would be impressive for me for a second year quarterback, especially in this league right now, which seems to be nothing but shell coverage defenses, and nobody's able to take deep shots, and they're forcing teams to throw underneath, and they're forcing teams to perhaps run the ball more. 4,201 yards would be pretty good. I'm projecting Shuck's going to throw for 30 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Derek Carr, I believe, had no more than, I want to say, 28 touchdowns. I think 25 touchdowns is pretty much what he averaged through his 2, 3 years he was with us. So I figure Shough will throw somewhere between 25 and 30 touchdowns, and I'm going to go to the high end here and say 30 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. I also expect him to run the ball a total of about 64 times. That's 3 or 4 carries a game, maybe a couple of carries that are called plays designed for Shough to run, and then a couple of runs a game where things break down and he just tries to get a few yards. I've got him pegged at 6 yards a carry for a total of 384 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. That's my prediction for Tyler Shough. I think that even though the completion percentage won't be as great as it was last year, it's going to be a pretty impressive season for a second year quarterback, second year for Kellen Moore. I don't know what the running game's going to do. Haven't thought about it yet. We still don't know. We know Travis Etienne's a good player. We know Alvin Kamara can be a good player if he's not fed the ball too much, if he doesn't have to carry the workload, if he can share carries. I figure Etienne will get the majority of the carries. Perhaps 20 carries for Etienne, maybe 10 to 15 for Kamara, depending on how things go. Kamara getting involved in the passing game would be really nice. Etienne can do that as well. Kamara started off his career with the Saints, averaging 60 to 80 catches a season. And then in the last 4 years, it's just been non-existent. And Kellen Moore didn't really try to utilize that strength of Kamara last year. We didn't see a lot of Kamara splitting out, running option routes and stuff like that, screen passes. We didn't see a lot of that. But to have 2 running backs under your belt now that have receiving capabilities, perhaps that's going to be something Kellen Moore leans more into. I'd like to see a bunch of more screens. Perhaps the offensive line is capable of doing those things now too. Well, there you go. That's my breakdown of what I think Tyler Shough's going to do for us this season. You let me know in the comments what you think. I don't think that's a horrible prediction there. 4,201 yards passing, 66% completion, 30 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, another 384 yards running the ball, and 4 touchdowns for a total of 34 touchdowns. I think that's pretty good stuff for a young quarterback. Yeah, 28-year-old young. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm Joe. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10 for more videos about the Saints. And until the next one, training camp's coming up. Subscribe to the channel and you'll get more videos. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Who dat?